Just like you can't stop a tornado, you also can't stop a localizer from acting stupid in public. I really love the fact that whenever they're trying to get a win, whenever they're trying to explain what they're doing, it just makes them look worse. It would have been better if they just kept quiet. So here you have a translator of highest rated game of all time. Wow. Fun fact. In the Japanese, Morgana is calling him a tsundere here. And you have no fucking idea how many brainstorming sessions. Wow. It took over several weeks. Oh, Dios mío. To come up with this translation. So like, they worked hard for several weeks. They, plural. Alright? Like, I want you to understand, this is like some expert sitting in a room conspiring, a literal conspiracy theory, in order to figure out how to translate something. So how do you translate the word tsundere? Well, first of all, being in the industry, you should have known it by now. Like, it's used so often in anime that you shouldn't require several weeks. Like the knowledge should be there by now. It's like being a med student and not knowing how to put an EKG. Like, you've done it by then. You're supposed to know. You're not supposed to just pick up the manual and discover for yourself on how to set up the machine. No, this should be common knowledge. So how did they translate, like, after several weeks of multiple people? Fragile male ego. You know, it would actually take a lot more for me as a Romanian to explain what the fragile male ego, the concept, right? To explain this concept to my wife, like the American definition, because it's an American concept used by the extremist far leftists, like even the normal leftists, even the Bernie Sanders do not use that. Like, most people, believe it or not, love men. Most people love their sons, they love their brothers, they love their fathers. But it's the academic professor with daddy issues that came up with this concept solely to create division. Like, notice there is no such thing as a fragile female ego, right? Because that will create division. It's offensive. So if it's offensive to women, why do you think men are that different that they wouldn't get offended? So, as I mentioned before, right, like, it's difficult to explain this concept. It only relates with the extreme far leftists that are moronic enough to go into student debt by choosing to be with gender studies degrees. Everyone else can't relate, and it's also offensive. So why would you come up with something like this? Huh? Fragile male ego. Now, I'm not an expert, right? So I shouldn't be able to do a better job, obviously. Like, I'm not a localizer. This should be a knowledge beyond me. I mean, how would I know how to do it? But I'll give it my best, right? So one of the ways that you can translate tsundere would be to not translate it at all. There are certain words in Romanian that do not get translation. For instance, mouse. If you use a computer and you're using the mouse, in Romanian, we do not translate it to șoricel, right? We still call it mouse. Like, we just use the term from the language. It's the same with ramen. A better example, right? Like, when you watch Naruto and they're eating ramen, you don't translate ramen to, like, noodle soup or whatever. You just leave it as ramen. Because most people that watch anime, they know what these words mean. So this is like one way to do it. It's perfectly fine, right? The word okay from English. In Romanian, we don't translate it to all right, like the Romanian equivalent of it. We just leave the word okay. It's perfectly fine in some situations to leave the word as is. You don't really need to translate. But like, let's say you unironically want to, like, you got this craving, this desperate need to translate the word. There are so many better options, like, for instance, playing hard to get, right? So like a tsundere is someone that's playing hard to get. Like, that's an English expression. It's not going to be 100% the same, but it gets the job done, right? It's definitely better than fragile male ego. So like, you show that you're willing to use several words in order to translate one. So why not just say, I know that beneath your cold exterior, you actually like me. So a shorter version would be like, you're acting tough, but deep down I know you like me. That is a lot better than fragile male ego. Like tsundere doesn't even have anything to do with fragile male ego. It's not insulting. It's not gender-based. It flows better. It doesn't sound like it's coming from the academia, like you need 5 years of gender studies in order to understand the concept. And take into account that this localization bullshit, because a lot of like localizers are coming out now trying to justify their nonsense and basically saying how difficult localization is. Besides the fact that this problem didn't exist 5 years ago, like no one was complaining, you don't have this issue with Romanian localization. Like, we have our own localizers. They don't do this shit. I have my artist who works for my video game. He's French. He doesn't speak English that well, so he listens to French dubs and French subtitles, and they have localizers. They don't deal with this shit. Why is it that it's only the American localizers that deal with this? Why is it that it's only the American localizers that have this problem? Huh? And why is it always one way? Why do they never use conservative slang? Why do they never use the word soy face? Why do they never say cock? Why don't they say let's go Brandon? I mean, to be honest, if they said let's go Brandon, it would be just as cringe, right? I would still, like I would chuckle. It's like, oh my god, they snuck that in. But like, it would still ruin my immersion. It would still take me out from the medium and realize, why would the Japanese use fragile male ego? Like, they don't talk like that. I have Japanese friends. No one talks like that. What the fuck is going on? Oh, it's the Americans translate. Oh, I see. Probably from California, right? All of a sudden, like, how is it that I know all the politics of the translator? Every single thing that they believe in. I know their stance on the environment. I know their stance on gun control. I know their stance on free speech. I know all this shit just from one word. Why are you so predictable? Do you think I'm like Nostradamus? You think I'm able to peer into your brain? How do I do this? Why are you so basic, bitch? Should be the question. So yeah, again, it's taking people out of immersion. That's the main problem. It reminds people that, hey, this anime has been translated by a soy face. Now, it's very important to e-beg. I haven't e-begged in a while, and if I don't, I can't support the channel. But you can support the channel. There's a link into the pinned comment. It's blue. You click on it, it takes you to my Subscribe Star or my Patreon. It's your choice. And you can donate there, like $5. That's not that much there, but it's a lot here. And I will give you buyer's remorse in exchange. Isn't that great? I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.